Sorry, this is probably going to be a short one. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. I just got done seeing A Wrinkle in Time, the new Disney movie, and honestly, I know you can probably tell what I'm going to say about this from my reaction just there, but let's get into a little bit why I think that way first. I have not read the book. It is one of the books that most kids read in middle school or elementary school for like one of their English classes, but for some reason this was not one of the books my English teachers ever picked us to read. But it's also a book that I feel like I probably would have read on my own, but I never did, and I don't know why. This book seems like something that would have been right up my alley, especially as a middle schooler, but I guess it's just not something I just actively looked for. Although I heard all about it and a lot of my friends did read it and did tell me to read it, I just never did. So going into this, I was still really excited to see this movie because the trailers just made it look so fantastical, and I love Ava DuVernay as a human being. She is such a powerful, beautiful, amazing woman, and as a director, she is just the best. Like, I wish I could direct movies the way she directs movies. She just didn't get there with A Wrinkle in Time for me. And don't get me wrong, it's not because it doesn't look amazing. It's a phenomenally spectacular, beautiful looking movie. There are some kind of shoddy green screen effects, but it's only very noticeable at like one certain point, and it's still probably not even as noticeable to most of the common viewers than it would be to someone who is well versed in digital effects or goes to see movies a lot. And it's also beautifully directed. The actors did such a great job, and you really kind of felt their performance, especially the kids. The three lead actors were so great, but the youngest kid who played, I think his name is Charles Wallace, not the actor's name, the character's name, he was a powerhouse. He was super strong, I was very surprised at how great of an actor he was for maybe 6 or 7 years old. The character he plays is 6, so he's probably around that age, but he did such a great job on this. And I mean, of course, Reese Witherspoon plays Mrs. Whatsit, and at the beginning when her character is first introduced, she is just off the wall, kind of crazy weird, and I was getting serious Elle Wood vibes from her, and I loved it so much. I was really surprised how much I really loved Reese Witherspoon, but it wasn't just like an outstanding performance for me from her. I feel like I've seen her in a bunch of other movies where she did such a better job, especially Legally Blonde, which, kind of biased, is my favorite Reese Witherspoon movie, but she was great. Mindy Kaling was great. Oprah was fantastic. I mean, it's Oprah! Who doesn't love Oprah? And that sounded really weird just coming out of my mouth. I'm gonna regret that. Zach Galifianakis was hilarious, as I knew he would be. He's only in it for a little bit, but his scenes were some of my favorite, not only because they were funny with him, but it led to one of the more heartfelt moments in the movie that actually legitimately had tears coming out of my eyes because of this moment. It was the first time I cried in this movie, and I wasn't even expecting to cry in this movie. I also think it's kind of in part, though, to the fact that I am a little sleep deprived because I stay up way too late and get up way too early for work. So I might be a little sleep deprived at the moment, and that's why I cried. But Zach Galifianakis' scenes were some of the best. And Michael Pena, I didn't even realize was in this. He is in the trailer, and I didn't even realize it was him. For some reason, I thought it was Stanley Tucci in a wig, but I knew Stanley Tucci wasn't in this movie, so I don't know why I thought it was him. But it's Michael Pena, and he has a pretty good role too. So those are the really great parts for me. the acting and the way the whole movie looked. It just was a beautiful, magical wonderland. Just kind of what I would picture this movie to look like if I had read the book, I think. Maybe not so much like CGI world, but it still looked very beautiful. So now that that's out of the way, some of the things I didn't feel were quite up to par with my expectations, because I went to this with very medium to low expectations. I had heard that it was getting kind of iffy reviews, and I didn't know really anything about this movie besides whatever I had seen in the trailers or heard way back when my friends were talking about this book, but I still didn't really remember much about it. So I went in kind of low to medium expectations, and it didn't quite hit them. But I don't think that this is a movie that was made for me. I don't think that I am its target audience. Even though it's a Disney movie and I love Disney movies, it wasn't the Disney movie I was hoping it to be. For example, I was listening to Ava DuVernay on a podcast today where she was talking about the movie. She was likening it to Neverending Story and Princess Bride, and really great movies from like my childhood, her childhood, probably your childhood, that like everyone has watched and loved, that were kind of based off of books, or they just had that feeling that they were based off of books. I went into this thinking that this would be maybe a slightly more CGI, colorful, magical looking world that felt like one of those. And after rewatching the trailer again, I was like, okay, maybe it'll be like that. And I was really hoping for it because I love Princess Bride. I love Neverending Story, Pan's Labyrinth, all those movies from like the 80s and things like that. I just love so much, and I was really hoping it would be like that, but it wasn't at all. And I think that is mostly because the story just felt like it was lacking a little bit. Like in some places, it didn't feel as cohesive as I kind of thought it would be. I mean, it was based on a book, so I feel like the story would be pretty cohesive. It's like a best-selling children's novel, so the story should be pretty cohesive, but I guess smushing it down to fit into an hour and a half, 2 hour long movie is pretty tough, but it's still just, I got lost at some points, and maybe that's just because I was tired. And they left out some parts. Like, I think that might have been where some of the story might have fallen apart for me. For instance, there is that scene in the trailer where they're talking about the spider going across the string. Spoiler alert, that's totally not in here, so I feel like they may have taken some other parts of the story out. I don't think this is a boring movie at all. It really grabs your attention and holds your attention, but there are parts in the movie that I just was like, okay, what? Like, they're singing a song to each other and we're supposed to know where that song's from. Although, now that I think about it, I think that is from a part earlier that I just kind of wasn't paying attention to one specific part that they were probably trying to direct our attention to, so that might be my bad. And then one last thing is the music in this and the music cues. They just felt very off and very weird to me. I don't know if they were doing that on purpose because they were in this kind of very off-kilter world, planet, universe thing, so they might have been doing that on purpose. For me, it's like some of the songs didn't really fit into what they were doing, and it's not like it was a musical score. No, it was actual songs with lyrics, and I just didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like it fit the setting. It felt like you could have maybe that same tone of song just without the lyrics and instrumentals with strings and just some gusto or something. But a lot of the time the songs just felt like they didn't fit, or there'd be this random music cue that was like swelling up to something and then it just stopped, and the moment wasn't as climactic as you would have thought it would have been. So with all that being said, I still really enjoyed this movie, probably not as much as I would have maybe if I was a 13, 14-year-old, which I feel like after listening to Ava DuVernay's interview this morning, that's kind of what she was aiming at. She was aiming at more for teens, like preteens, really young girls who are teenagers. I am definitely not that. I don't hit that demographic. I feel like if I was visiting my parents and this was just on or they wanted to watch it, I would maybe watch it with them. Maybe not the whole thing. I would just like come in, sit down, watch it with them, and leave whenever I felt like it. It's just not something that I would probably sit and just watch the whole hour and a half, hour 45 minutes that it is. So all in all, my score for this would definitely be a Netflix. I would not rent this movie of my own volition unless somebody else wanted to rent it and watch it. It is still a very good movie. I did enjoy watching it and watching the young child actors do amazing work. So very short, simple review. That's all I got for you guys. Let me know your thoughts if you have seen A Wrinkle in Time, and if you have and you have read the book as well, let me know any differences that aren't major spoilers, because I would love to know. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you, whoever you are. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking movies, TV shows, film making, and film history, and all of that stuff. I am going a little crazy right now. I don't know my outro, but I'll see you guys next time. Bye!